Alright guys, so we're back at it again. We got our builder right here. This was the graveyard Damascus I made in a previous video. We still got a big chunk. As you can see, I put it in muriatic acid for about a day and a half, and then I cleaned it up. And as you can see, it's got a lot of little gaps. I don't know if that's just from the powder not getting in there whenever we forge welded, or if they were cracks that happened afterwards when we were trying to forge it from the piece it was made from. But we definitely got some good material in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this guy in half, then I'm gonna quarter it, and we're gonna be forming out some billets out of this, and we're gonna twist this guy. Alright guys, so I went on ahead and ground the billets, make sure I got absolutely every crack I could find out. And I did lose quite a bit of material, but now I am re-squaring everything out, and I'm gonna forge some billets out of here now that I have nothing but good material on it, and hopefully we won't run into the issues as last time. Though last time I did end up with a really neat knife for myself, I would rather be able to make something that is sellable. Also, I'm making sure I have the steel at forge welding heat for this drawing out, to make sure that if I do have any small cracks that I might not be able to see, I make sure that I can seal them up with the heat. So after drawing out my bigger piece, I'm knocking down the corners because I'm going to go on ahead and twist the steel. That way we get an interesting pattern. I thought about doing this last time, but I didn't really have the means for it. Here I'm using a drill that just doesn't have the strength. This is 1 inch by, I think it's 1 1/4 inches by 1 1/4 inches square. So I had to do it by hand. For some reason I completely forgot I have other drills that are specifically for this that I bought before that are a lot stronger, have a lot more torque. And I kind of remembered right after I was done with this. I saw the drill and I was like, oh yeah, I have that for a reason, after I got my arm workout in. But we managed to get a nice good twist in there. Granted, the twist wasn't as tight as I originally wanted. Nonetheless, because this is graveyard Damascus and I have a lot of different steels in there, if I twist it too tight, it will kind of crush together and really lose that pattern. So a looser twist will bring out more of that pattern, just give it that angled shape to it. Alright guys, let me take a moment to talk to you about the sponsor of today's video, and some belt and buckle. Now they are a recurring sponsor to this channel, and they make belts and buckles. Now what I'm wearing right now is actually one of their belts, and this is my everyday belt. I use it every day for work and for work after work, which is doing this channel. One of the things I really love about this belt is the micro adjustable ratchet system that it has. It has an adjustment every 1/4 inch, and as some of you guys know, I am based out of Florida and it gets very hot out here, so you're constantly sweating, and as you know, pants get loose. So having the ability to adjust every 1/4 inch is a game changer, because you're always making sure you have the best comfort throughout the day. And another thing I really like about this company is that they have very high quality materials. I've been using this belt for well over 6 months, and it works great. It does not run into the issues of your standard belts where you have your holes and they start, opening up, or you get those nasty creases. You get a nice, clean, consistent belt every time. So I'm very happy about that. And another thing I really like about this company is that they sell, as their name implies, belts and buckles. So you buy this strap and you can buy this buckle, or you can buy a different buckle for this strap or multiple straps, multiple buckles, and then you can mix and match however you please, depending on the occasion, whether it's for work or a party or anywhere you're going. You can make sure you always have the perfect belt to accompany whatever fit you're wearing. And because you're a viewer of the show, Anson Belt and Buckle is giving you a special deal. Either in the description down below or right here, I'm going to pop up a QR code where you can get 3 belts and 3 straps for the price of 2. So you have a total of 9 different combinations in which you can make sure you have the perfect belt for your fit. So be sure to go down to the description down below or click on this QR code right here and upgrade your belt game today. Thank you very much to Anson Belt and Buckle for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to our build. All right, now that we have our twist in, we're going to go on ahead and flatten it out and make our stock. One thing I always make sure to look after is to make sure that the edges don't split apart. You're always going to have a little bit of splitting because of the twist. But if you round in those corners, your splitting will be a lot less severe than if you don't. If you don't round in the corners, they split pretty gnarly. And now that I have everything flattened out, I'm going to go to our flattening dies and we're going ahead and clean everything up. So here I've gone off screen. This is a different day and I already cut the chunk of steel that I'm going to be using. I have an extra chunk that I will put it online for sale for anybody interested in forging their own little knife out of it. It is about a little bit under a quarter thick, probably like around 3/16. And it's perfect for anybody that doesn't have a forge but wants to be able to make this kind of steel. So whenever I have leftovers, I'm going to start putting them online for anybody who's interested. And I'm just going to make a standard knife shape. I didn't really think about what I was going to make. I was just kind of just forging a knife. For this knife, I'm more interested in what that pattern looks like versus what kind of knife it is. And since I pretty much specialize in just making chef's knives, I kind of just went straight for that. Also, it wasn't a lot of material and I didn't want to manipulate it too much because I want to be able to keep that twist pattern in there. But I have been itching to make a cleaver, so I think pretty soon I'm gonna make a big batch of steel and make myself a really nice big cleaver. But that's a conversation for a different video. Now that I have the relative shape I want, I'm going to the drawing dies and I'm trying to get a little bit more width. I think at this point I was right around 1.25 inches. Preferably I like to make it right around 2 inches, 2.5 inches. I like a taller knife. Nonetheless, here I'm going with the crossbeam hammer and I'm getting as much width as I can. Ever since I started working with the crossbeam, it definitely, I could see the difference. It's very important to be properly tooled. The hydraulic press can only get you so far. Also, unfortunately, I suck at making tongs. I've tried so many times and I just can't make them, so I have to buy mine. Hopefully one day I'll take a class on how to forge them out. For some reason mine always come out all wonky and weird and just don't work. And for some of these billets that I worked with, especially canister Damascus, I think certain kinds of tongs would be a lot better for working that than versus what I have, which are pretty much just different sizes of a V-bit tong, I think it's called, or I'm not really sure the name of it, but these ones that I always use. At this point, I pretty much have the knife already shaped and forged out to the thickness that I want. I'm just cleaning up everything and planishing whatever needs to be planished. Try to keep as much consistency as I can since I am gonna do a full grind on this guy. Alright guys, so the knife is looking pretty good. You can see that pattern in there, so there was definitely something in there to twist, so I'm pretty excited about that. We're going to go on ahead and surface grind it. We have very little shaping to do on it, so we're going to go on ahead and do that and get it ready for a heat treat. Fortunately, I forged this guy very close to shape. I just have to clean up the edges and grind off any kind of divots and any kind of scale that's on there. and true up the points of the knife. I ended up leaving it a little bit rounded, but I figured I would fix that tip whenever I did my grinding. I just felt it was easier than trying to spend a lot of time trying to get that tip perfect in the forging. A really cool thing, after grinding it and putting it in the water, you can kind of see that pattern through the steel. And it looks pretty cool as it shimmers in the light because it's slightly oxidating just a little bit. But we have a successful quench. Alright guys, so we are at a temper. Knife's looking good. You can see that Damascus have popped through. It's looking pretty promising. Overall, I'm very happy with it. It is a little wobbly, but we're going to go ahead and fix that with the Carbide peen. Straighten everything out. And then we'll clean it up on the surface grinder and get our finish grind going. And now we finished grinding the knife. At this point, the knife was relatively thin. It is pretty thin, all in all. I think I measured the final knife in at around just under 5 ounces. I think it was like 4.7 or something like that once it was fully done. But this was a relatively thin knife once I got done with all my grinding. Alright guys, so the knife has been hand sanded. We're going to go on ahead and use this wood right here. I'm not really sure what it is. I have a bad habit of sanding wood to get stabilized and not even really knowing what kind of wood it is. It has some very nice figuring. If you know what kind of wood it is, let me know in the comments down below. That way I know what it is. I know a lot of you guys know a lot more about different species of wood than I do, but it is stabilized. So I wasn't sure what kind of wood this was, but once I was done with it and I put some oil on it, I noticed that it is definitely walnut. And then I remembered I definitely sent some walnut in to go and get stabilized. So that was just my bad memory. But that handle material is very, very pretty, and I'm pretty sure you guys will like the way it looks at the end of the video. After a little bit of filing and a lot of messing with this front portion guard, I don't know what you would call it, I ended up getting a pretty good fit. So what I'm doing here is I'm bedding the tang, and I'm starting off by putting some wax on it so that the tang does not stick to the epoxy, and it creates pretty much a little cavity the shape of the knife tang inside of that rather large hole that I drilled. And this makes it easier to do, a lot quicker, and it also creates a perfect fitting. That way every time I fit it up, I can take some very accurate measurements from that to make sure that my handle is nice and straight to my knife. One thing though is I have been commented on that I am using some rather expensive wax for this, and the reason why is because I already have it here, and since I already own it, I might as well use it. Once I run out of this, I'll probably order some cheaper wax, but for now this is what I got and that's what I'm using. So my bandsaw blade kind of broke, and the wood bandsaw that I have, it doesn't really like to cut the micarta because it has some big teeth. It kind of just doles it out a little too fast. So I decided to go on ahead and just grind it out. Though I think overall that was a bad idea. Next time I do this, I'm definitely gonna just cut it off with the wood bandsaw. After I grind off just the initial part, I'm gonna go on ahead and cut the rest off with the wood bandsaw, because This thing produced so much dust trying to grind it away. Though it was pretty quick, it was not quicker than the bandsaw, and it produced a lot of dust. But for some reason, I decided to grind it out instead of cutting it. So it's just one of those. I don't know how to explain it. It just happened, and it seemed like a good idea until it wasn't a good idea. So with the handle completed, it's time to etch the knife, and we can take a good look at what our pattern looks like. Overall, I was very happy with it, and I think it turned out very nice. It is bold, it is strong, and you can see all those different kinds of Damascus and different layers and those dark lines in there. I think Graveyard Damascus is one of the cooler Damascus that I've made. And with our maker's mark on there, all that's left to do is go ahead and attach our handle. And we've reached the part of the video where I like to ask you guys, if you like what I do and you want to help support the channel, you can do so by liking, commenting, and subscribing if you're not subscribed. I think 80% of the people that watch me are subscribed. Crazy numbers, right? Don't be one of them. Definitely go check if you're subscribed. If you're not, go ahead and subscribe. And this knife will be available to purchase as soon as this video goes out. But I also have a lot of other cool knives on there as well that you can check out if this one isn't your cup of tea. Also, I'll have the leftover billets on sale as well on the website if you're interested in that. Because I know a few people have asked me for billets, but I don't really have the time to make billets. But whenever I get a chance like this, I'll make an extra big billet and hopefully sell some of it. Overall, this knife was extremely sharp, and I was very happy with it. I think the handle goes along with the knife very well, and I really like the pattern and how it came out, how it's just so different and versatile because it's just made from so many different pieces of Damascus. But as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, Anson Belt and Buckle, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.